Okay, I want to make a truth table for this, for all possibilities of P, or, and then in parentheses, not Q and R. So just like before, we're going to start with our basic statements. And this time we have 3 statements. So our truth table gets quite a bit larger. I'm still going to put just my P in the first one, Q in the second one, and this time R is going to occupy the third column, because it's my third statement. And all it's going to do is expand it a little bit. Our first column before, we had 2 truths and 2 falses. I'm going to expand it to 4 truths and 4 falses. So 4 truths and then 4 falses. My second column, just like before, we alternated. We went true, false, true, false. I'm going to do the same thing all the way down. True, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. And then finally, we have not dealt with our third statement yet at all. I'm just going to say, let's make it 2 truths and 2 falses all the way down. So 2 truths, 2 falses, 2 truths, and 2 falses. You can start looking at all of those situations and notice that they're all different from each other. You have to make sure that each situation in each row is going to be different from each other. You can see just from the top I've got all 3 being true, and then at the bottom I've got all of them being false, and everything in between. Just like before, I want to do my nots next. Nots are very easy for us to change. So I'm going to go with a not Q. I only notice 1 not up here, so that's the one I'm only going to do. Which means that I'm going to look at the Q column. And true, false, all the way down is going to change to false, true, and changing the truth value of all of them. Next, once you have all your nots taken care of, you need to look at what's in parentheses next. Okay, so I notice the not Q and R are in parentheses. I'm going to do that next. I'm just going to do the not Q and R, which means that I'm looking at this column and this one. We're dealing with an and statement, so both have to be true in order to be true. So true and false is going to be false. True and true is true. False and false is false. False and true is false. True and false is going to be false. True and true, we're going to have true. False and false is false. And finally, false and true is going to be false. Now that I've taken care of what's in my parentheses, I can put it all together. This last column that I just did here, this one, is all made up by this. So now, if I'm going to do all of it, I've got P or my final column. So not Q and R. Which means that I'm going to be looking at this column, and I'm going to be looking at the P column, way back here at the start. So I'm going to look at those 2 columns. P, let me erase some of these here so we know which arrows we're talking about. I want to look at the P column and this column. Okay, we're dealing with an OR, so now I only need one of them to be true. So true and false is true. True and true is true. True and false is true. True and false is true. False and false is false. False and true, true. False, false is false. And finally, false or false is false. And there's your truth table for P or not Q and R.